Okay, so I am back. We are in the middle of a conversation with Riki Tauber. Riki Tauber founded Live Well Studios in Brooklyn, where she gives classes on nutrition, fitness, and we're going to talk about intuitive eating tonight. We're going to go right back into our conversation, and I'm sorry for all the listeners, but thank you for putting up with me. I do hope that this time I'm going to be able to add Riki in a way that I can see her on my screen. This is going to be my last attempt. We'll just go right into the conversation. Thank you all for rejoining. Okay.
Hey, hello.
Okay. So we're back here. Same story for me, Riki. I don't see you, but it's okay. We're just going to do what we're doing. Okay.
That's annoying. Is there something on your end? Is it on your phone?
So I wouldn't know. I don't know Instagram well enough to know, and I haven't had this specific issue before. So I'm just going to go ahead with the conversation anyway. Everybody that's here, as long as they're seeing both of us, they can enjoy it. Okay. So Riki, we were just talking about how you got to this specific niche and how you felt that from your own personal journey, this was a way for you to bring your knowledge, bring your experience to the people, which, as we said, that's really the right way to do it. So, I always think about a coach, right? Because I'm a coach as well. And I always think about the term coach. We find the word coaching in so many areas today. Like you can literally have a coach for anything. You can think about the people who want to spend their money mindfully, right? And then they're going to go find the financial coach or a budgeting coach. Think about the people who are looking to, organize their homes. So they're going to find an organizer or an organizational coach, whatever they call it. Coaching is something that, has become so popular. And what I find most fascinating about coaching is that when you bring a coach into your life, no matter which area you're attempting to address, you're going to have to go beneath the layers of what the outside presenting issue is. And you're going to have to address mindset. Because think about how you spend your money. You could be compulsive, you could be impulsive, think about the way you clean or don't clean your home, the way your home is cluttered, right? And think about your emotional habits, and then think about your eating habits. So on the outside, there's a presenting problem. Like I can't stop myself from going back for another snack, or I just can't stop myself from spending more money, or I just can't keep my house organized, right? So there's this presenting problem on the outside. And then when you bring a coach into your life and you start to look at the layers underneath the problem, you find there's a lot of mindset work and a lot of beliefs that have to be eradicated. So what I'm most fascinated about when you say intuitive eating is, yes, what are the mindsets? What are the beliefs that we need to address when we look at eating, which are the underneath layers, right? And then what are the practical layers, the external layers, so that it doesn't just look like a diet, right? So I think the first question that you wanted to start with was, what mindsets, our beliefs can we work on? The ones that most impact our health choices, right? So you can start with that, or anything that I said that you want to just go off on a tangent with.
Yes. So that was such a powerful question. Um, and yeah, our beliefs and our mindset are so strong and powerful, and they directly impact the choices that we make, especially when it comes to our health or food choices. So let's say you have a positive mindset and believe that you have the skills, you have the strengths to make certain changes, to adjust your eating habits. You're more likely to take action and make choices that will help you improve your health. On the other hand, if you have a negative mindset and start your health journey or your fitness journey with a mindset that I'll fail, I'll give up, that can become a self-fulfilling prophecy where you just sabotage and you give up and you don't achieve long-term success. And that's the difference between a fixed and a growth mindset. So for someone with a fixed mindset, they might see their eating habits as something that's unchangeable, something that they can't change. This is the way they eat. These are the only foods they can have. And then it'll lead you to make choices that are aligned with that belief. Yet with a growth mindset, you can look at your eating habits as something that can improve with time, something that you can adjust. You can make changes, get better at it, and then you're more likely to make better, healthier choices. It's
Mhm.
also regarding stress eating. Sometimes we have the mindset that when you're stressed, you turn to food, and food is the only way to cope with stress. By shifting your mindset and realizing that there are so many ways to cope with stress besides for food, whether it's doing exercise, meditating, going for a walk, talking to a friend, by realizing that there are other ways that can help you make better choices.
Right. So I think that that's very, very powerful. Focusing on the mindset beneath the choices you're making around food, right? And I think that from the emotional angle, and maybe I'm skipping to a different question that we had here that we wanted to address. And that question was, how do our emotions affect our eating habits? What I'm curious about is, you know, as I mentioned, there's a coach you're bringing into your life to help you with eating habits. And as you're having this conversation with this coach about fixing your eating habits, about correcting, your beliefs, correcting your mindset, I believe, Rikki, and I'm curious about this, but I believe you will uncover some deep-seated truths within the client, which we cover within all of us whenever we do work. And those deeply rooted beliefs generally come from a wounded place, meaning that fixed mindset of, there's only one way to do this, or even the negative mindset of I won't succeed, or I don't have the discipline that somebody else has, the comparison, somebody else is more consistent than me. The comparison to, she seems to have it so easy. Why can't I stick to, healthy choices? So what I believe is that a lot of the times when we go this direction of I want to eat healthy, what is my mindset? My mindset is negative. Okay. And then we go even deeper. We're going to find some deeply rooted beliefs that are deeply rooted in the human from a very wounded place, maybe from a childhood place. Do you ever go into that layer of the work to figure out where those mindsets are coming from? Or do you just stay at a place of awareness where we're going to confront the negative mindset and we're going to work with that to change that?
Yeah, yeah. So when I work with my clients, I work on the beliefs, the mindset, and the nutritional aspect. So we focus on bringing awareness, seeing what's triggering you, which situations or emotions trigger you to make certain choices regarding food, which situations or emotions cause you to eat emotionally. And once we have that awareness and we know which situations cause it, we look for ways to adjust it. We look for healthier ways, healthier alternatives to dealing with painful emotions or dealing with stress or anxiety. But we don't uncover whether it's childhood trauma or associations. Sometimes with emotional eating, it's important to work with an emotional coach, with a licensed social worker to deal with the root cause, what's really underneath it all.
Beautiful. Okay, so I like the way you're separating it, because then we can get really practical, right? Like if your home organizer walks into your house and she starts unloading your clutter in your closets, and then she says, "Hey, we need to sit down for a therapy session," right? That would be out of place, because assuming that your spending habits or your organizational habits or your eating habits are coming from a deeply rooted trauma space, we have to separate that. So what you're dealing with is, let's get practical. Which situations, where are you finding yourself most when you're looking for that comfort? What are you telling yourself about stress, and how is that related to food for you? And you're being really practical, and you're going to look for the areas in daily life bring awareness to where it's showing up for the client, when it's showing up for the client. For example, are you eating every night before you go to bed just for comfort, right? Or are you eating before a really big event because you're just so stressed out, right? So what you're saying is, let's look for the practical areas in your life where are currently you're currently using using food as your something, a de-stressor or something, because it does, FYI, food is good for nervous system regulation. Like if we get to the flip side of it, if you eat your favorite potato chips when you're having a really bad day and you're in a bad mood and you're dysregulated, it will do something for your nervous system
Yes.
regulation.
It actually, turning to comfort food actually releases dopamine. You do feel better in that moment, but then you're still left with that underlying issue, that emotion. Let's say you're stressed, you turn to chips, you eat that whole bag of chips. You might feel good in the moment, but when you're done, you can be left feeling uncomfortable, and you're still left with that underlying emotion. You're still stressed, you're still angry, you're still anxious. So that's
Beautiful.
why stress eating is so,
Beautiful.
can be so challenging. Yes.
I love the way you said that. I really love the way you said that. Like, okay, so go for the chips, get your comfort. But you know what? If you're honest with yourself, the reason you went for it, it's still there. So you didn't really deal with the stress.
Yeah. And I came across a powerful mantra recently. It goes as follows. Let's see if I'll remember it. Face your stuff, don't stuff your face.
Nice.
So, yeah, by facing that underlying emotion
Wow.
and learning how to deal with it instead of using, food as a quick fix.
Right. And I want to encourage everybody listening that it may not be food for you per se, although I believe it is for most of humanity at some point. It may be spending money, you getting that dopamine rush from a good shopping spree and from seeing all those Amazon boxes on your front steps, right? And you may get that same reach for comfort in anything else. So really, we're using food right now because that's Ricky's specialty. But if you're listening to this and you find that you just need that distraction in the moment, and you think about what are those distractions that I use because I'm stressed, and then when you're honest, you say, no, the stress is still there, even after I scrolled on my phone, even after I spent all that money, the stress is still there. So I think Ricky, what you're saying is very powerful. Face your stuff, don't stuff your face, is saying, can you be honest? Can you take a pause? Be honest with yourself. What am I really feeling? And with mindset work, so much of it is about taking a pause. So much of it is about taking that deep breath before you just finish that bag of chips. So yeah, take that pause and say, why am I doing this? There is a comment that came in, Ricky. I don't know if you could see it. I'm going to read it from Leanne. I want to eat healthy. I'm just tired and lazy to stand there and prepare myself food. And the easiest way is just to order or eating out. And it's usually junk. Do you want to respond to that?
Okay, so first I would challenge the mindset, the belief that you're tired and lazy. So,
Mm,
healthy eating, it's a mindset. You can look at it as, it's so hard, I have to meal prep, I have to make my own food. Or you can try to challenge that limiting belief that it's so hard and that it takes so much time, and looking for ways to create healthy habits and prepare meals where it is easier. And sometimes it's helpful to look at what skills and strengths you have in other areas that can help you in this area as well. And with eating out, it can be very challenging to find healthy food, nourishing food. It's always good to stick to lean protein, grilled vegetables, being mindful of the appetizers, the desserts, but it is possible to eat out and still make healthy choices.
I love that. So you went straight to the mindset. Like even I am lazy, right? Okay, challenge that belief, right? Where are there other areas in life where you're not lazy, where you are willing to go the extra mile, right? What motivates you to go that extra mile? What would it take for you to set an intention to go the extra mile around your food? I'd like to ask myself that question, which is, what would make it important enough right now? What would make it important enough for me to commit to making the best decision? So I have to care enough, and I have to be committed enough, and I have to be present enough with myself to make that decision. Because as you're saying, think about when you're looking at the menu at the restaurant, you can easily order grilled chicken and vegetables, right? So what do I need in that moment? Maybe I just need to be present with myself. Maybe I need to pause. Maybe I need to challenge my mindset that eating out is unhealthy. So there was a lot in that you said, Rikki. If there's anybody else listening that wants to send a comment or a question to Rikki about this, please go ahead. Rikki's here to answer your questions around intuitive eating versus emotional eating, as most of us easily the term that we go to. And Rikki's here just for the next couple minutes to answer your questions. So thank you for that, Rikki, and thank you for explaining how we would first challenge the belief, which is the important part, and then you said that we would find it in your life in a very practical way. Where and when are you? Are you still not pausing, not thinking, not considering your mindset, and you're just going for the food? So I want to summarize that those were like two of the most important points that you said.
Yes. And it's also about learning how to reframe any mindset or any limiting belief. And it's really about like challenging limiting beliefs and challenging that inner critic. We all have that loud, harsh voice that criticizes us every time we don't get something right or we do something wrong. Imagine eating a slice of cake. If you have that loud, harsh inner critic, you might think to yourself, I failed, I messed up, I derailed my eating plan. Try to reframe that with one slice of cake doesn't define me. One slice of cake doesn't derail all the progress that I've made so far. Being healthy doesn't mean being perfect. And by trying to reframe those limiting beliefs and being less harsh, we end up creating a healthier approach to our eating habits and overall health.
Hmm. Beautiful, beautiful. So in that pause, right? I mean, the pause button is the $1,000,000 button, because if you didn't press the pause button, then you're already after the slice of cake, and you're after that berating little speech that you gave yourself, because it just happens so quickly in those moments where we're dysregulated or we're looking for comfort. We may not yet have the habit of pressing pause. So that pause button is the $1,000,000 button, where you're able to say, yes, I did eat a piece of cake. It's okay. Or I will choose to eat this piece of cake now. It's okay. It doesn't change who I am. It doesn't change how I see myself. And I think, on the other hand, when you do it mindfully, you're more likely to just stop after that one piece of cake and not just go for more. Because the way I see it is, if you're going to go into self-judgment, you're going to go into a little tirade against yourself. I always do this. I always lose it. You're just going to go for another piece of cake. And before you know it, it's like you go down that rabbit hole,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. You mentioned something so important, taking that pause. And that's what mindful eating is all about. It's before sitting down to that slice of cake, asking yourself, am I really hungry? Or am I trying to fill an emotional void? If you're really hungry and you want the piece of cake, sit down at the table, be present, be mindful, enjoy it. You might find that you're satisfied after a few bites. You might decide to finish the whole slice, and that's okay. You're in charge. You made the call, you were present, and you decided to eat that piece of cake and you enjoy it. On the other hand, by eating mindlessly, we can sometimes eat way more than what we intended to eat to begin with without even tasting it or realizing that we finished the bag or finished the plate. So it's so important to pause and be mindful and make choices in a calm approach.
Right. And I also want to give hope to those of us who realize, hey, I didn't press the pause button. And now 3 slices of cake are gone, right? So even if you just catch yourself after the fact, I would say pause right then, whenever you have that moment of awareness, because we know it's all about awareness. It's all about bringing awareness to the choices we make, the intentions we set. And if you just caught yourself after the fact, you press pause right there and you say, what now? I still don't have to go down the rabbit hole. So I think there is always choice as long as we're able to press pause, come back to awareness. Why did I go for this? What was the comfort I was looking for? What was the choice I made? Did it work for me? Didn't it? And then if it's after the fact, I still press pause and I say, I still have a choice not to get hard on myself. Self-judgment will lead me nowhere. Self-judgment will probably just mean I'll go and I'll look for another bag of candy. So there's never, it's never lost. It's not like you now start to make this the checks and X's and I failed and I win I won and here I lost and here I won. Like it's not about being so rough and so harsh on yourself. It's really much more about the mindful awareness. And as you're talking about it with a coach, an intuitive eating coach like Rikki, you will gain awareness. When were those moments in the last week that I did get derailed? And once you bring that to awareness, that's the goal.
Yes, and it's so important to become aware and find out why you ended up turning to emotional eating, why you ended up eating the 3 slices of cake. So I encourage my clients to keep a journal, keep a food log, not as in dieting where you track everything that you ate and the calories and you try to stay under a certain number. It's to track what you were eating, when you were eating it, where you were eating, and how you were feeling.
Mm.
So, were you sitting in the car eating cookies and feeling stressed? And by keeping a food log and reflecting and looking back at the log after a week, you can sometimes see patterns, triggers, seeing what causes you to eat emotionally. And once you're aware, you look for healthier alternatives. Look for other ways to deal with that stress. And like you said, it isn't linear. Progress is never linear. It can be 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and a slip up never erases the progress that you made. It's all about learning, being mindful, and being compassionate, and knowing that it's okay to make mistakes. We're human. You don't have to be perfect.
Right. Rikki, there's another question that came in. I'm curious if you want to answer this one. So should I let my toddler have candy all the time? That's kind of feels a little off topic. Do you want to address that? Or
Okay, that's an amazing question. You know, as a mom, it also took me time to find balance with how much junk food do you bring into the house? When do you allow it? So with intuitive eating, it's about gentle nutrition. You want to feed your kids with healthy, nourishing foods that will give them energy and sustain them. And of course, there's room for candy. Of course, there's room for treats. You know, we just celebrated my daughter's birthday earlier today. There was pizza, there was ice cream. It's a celebration. It's okay. To give your kids candy on a regular basis, my question would be like, why would, like, what's the benefit? Why would you want to give your kids candy on a regular basis? It can be for celebration, a treat every now and then. And there's definitely room for candy in your life. It's all about balance.
beautiful. That's an awesome answer, Rikki. I love that. Mindfully choosing as a mom, when do I want to bring candy in? How much? What's the benefit of having it in the house? And even for the adults, it might be helpful not to have the candy in the house. You say only weekends we're going to have this kind of candy in the house, or not to keep desserts around only on the weekends. to make it a mindful choice, not to say this is cut out of our lives, but to do it mindfully. Okay. I want to go through the other questions, Rikki, make sure we got to them because we're probably going to be running out of time pretty soon. Okay. So I'm going to ask you this question. Could you answered it already, or if you want to add anything? What tips do you have for developing a healthier mindset around food?
Okay, so it's so important to develop a healthier mindset around food. So I will tell you to start by challenging any limiting beliefs. Ask yourself what skills and strengths helped you in other areas, and how can you apply those strengths when it comes to your health journey. Recognizing your past successes and failures and setbacks as part of the process, and learning and using those skills to help you achieve and improve your health. And it's also so important to, like we mentioned, challenge that inner critic, challenge limiting beliefs. It's all about shifting to a positive growth mindset.
Beautiful. It's really helpful to look at other areas in your life where you are able to push forward, to be consistent, to have that motivation, and ask yourself, what makes it easier there? I love that. How can I bring the strength that I have in those areas over to this area? Yeah, beautiful. So the other question is, how do you explain the difference between intuitive eating and traditional dieting? I know we touched on it, but if you want to just tell us a little more about the differences, how you would explain it.
Yes. Okay. So intuitive eating is a liberating approach to food, especially for those that have a history of dieting. So, an example of intuitive eating is, I'll reflect back to, I mentioned earlier, we had my daughter's birthday party earlier today, and it was fascinating to watch kids eat. There was pizza, there was ice cream, there were chips. Some took doubles, some didn't even touch the ice cream cake. And, and I don't recall hearing any of them saying, I'm bad, I ate cake. And there weren't any kids that took doubles of ice cream because they already blew it, they already broke their diet, so they might as well eat everything and start again tomorrow. And that's the perfect example of intuitive eating. Intuitive eating is about tuning into your body's natural hunger and fullness cues, making mindful decisions, eating when you're hungry, stopping when you're comfortably full, and moving on. While traditional dieting is all about rigid rules, restrictions, what you can't eat, when you shouldn't eat, which foods are off limits, which foods are bad. And when we label foods good or bad, and we have strict rules, our mind and body naturally rebels. With
Oh,
intuitive eating, it's about making choices that will nourish your body and give you energy, as opposed to traditional dieting where there's one goal: lose weight, eat the lowest calorie foods. How can you
right.
minimize hunger? So it's really a wholesome approach to eating and health as opposed to a traditional diet.
Right. Right. I get it. You're saying it's not about calorie counting. It's not about achieving a certain weight. It's about achieving a wholesome mindset towards this thing that is so important in our lives called food. And I want to venture to say that as we grow mindful, right, whatever area you're working on, you're going to grow intuitive around your sleeping patterns, rather than saying, how many hours should I be sleeping? And let me check Google for the facts. You're going to say, I don't feel okay if I sleep 6 hours, right? And that comes from a different place. So rather than watching the clock and being rigid, like you're saying, we rebel, our bodies rebel when we know there's a list of rules. I have to be in bed by 11 o'clock every night. We're going to do the same thing. I'm never allowed to eat sugar all week, only on the weekends. We're going to have that rebellion inside, right? And then rather I go to bed when I feel tired. It's approximately 7 or 8 hours, and then I feel rested. Or I would even venture to say we can grow intuitive about everything, about everything in our lives, rather than make rules it becomes a wholesome approach of tapping into what's right for you rather than following somebody else's rules to get to a certain outcome. So that's a beautiful, beautiful way to explain it, Rikki. And food is, I mean, one of the most important elements of our lives. So yes, those of us who can conquer the intuitive part with eating can probably do it in other areas as well. Right? Like imagine the feeling of, I want to decorate my house and I don't know how to do it. So I'll ask others versus I want to decorate my house and I can feel what will feel good to me. That's an intuitive approach. I can feel what colors would suit me, what mood I want this house to give, the vibe, right? That's an intuitive approach to life. And I love that we can get there through our food and open ourselves up to our souls, create more truth in our lives, create a wider perspective for wholesomeness. It's really, really, really beautiful.
Yeah, that's so powerful. I love the way you explained it. And it's also about the another big difference of dieting and intuitive eating is the goal is health and wellness, not weight loss. When your goal is health, you'll naturally make choices that will help you improve your health as opposed to weight loss.
Beautiful. It's so well said. It's so well said because, like I said, intuition is really the root of getting to know yourself, what feels good and what feels right for me. So I'm going to learn which foods serve me best, which foods fill me, which foods and how often and when I need, rather than following somebody else's rules for life. Like I said, the same way you're going to decorate your house based on what somebody else is telling you to do, or you're going to decorate your house from a place of what serves me. There has to be that approach of I'm this wholesome, full human being, the full spectrum of who I am, all my parts. I'm invested in not judging myself. I'm invested in learning myself on a very, very deep level and knowing what I need when. So I think there is a very bigger picture perspective that I take. Like when I work with my clients, we work a lot on getting to know yourself in a very deep place. And yet the work you're doing seems more practical, but it touches the same areas of deep intuition of what do I need to feel good? What do I need to feel wholesome?
Yeah, and like you mentioned, with intuitive eating, the choice is yours. It's up to you to decide which foods nourish your body, which foods make you feel light and energized instead of focusing on external rules or diet rules. Knowing that you have the power to make the best choice based on what will serve you.
Yeah, that's incredible, Rikki. Wow, your clients are really lucky. Let's finish off with, I think we may have like 2, 3 minutes left. Um, we may have answered this. Let me know if you want to add something. What are some tips for healthy eating that align with intuitive eating principles? Is there anything you want to add to that?
So, there are a few basic tips for intuitive eating. It starts with honoring your hunger and fullness cues, meaning tuning into yourself. If you're feeling hungry, eat something nourishing, grab a snack, eat a fruit. And if you're feeling full, you don't have to finish the plate. You can stop when you feel satisfied and know that you can always turn to it later. Another intuitive eating principle is rejecting the diet mentality. You don't need external rules as to when to eat, how to eat, what to eat. Focus on tuning into your body and eating what nourishes you and energizes you and making choices that helps you improve your health. And another important intuitive eating tip is mindful eating. Sit at the table, be present, don't sit in front of the screen, stop scrolling on your phone, and really be present and mindful that you're eating. Enjoy the food, and you might find that you're full halfway through. You might find that you don't need to finish the entire plate. But by being mindful and present, you're much more likely to enjoy your food and you're much more likely to eat food out of hunger instead of filling an emotional need. So before eating, by asking yourself, by being mindful and asking, am I hungry or am I trying to fill an emotional void? And if it's an emotional void, it's turning to healthier coping mechanisms, whether it's exercising or calling a friend or even sitting with your emotions, as opposed to turning to food. So, those are a few tips for intuitive eating that can help you, yeah, improve your relationship with food.
So powerful. Every single one of those. Wow. That was incredible. Okay. Our last question, Rikki. How do I mean, I think we spoke about this. How do our emotions affect our eating habits? And what can we do to manage this? So if you just want to add anything to that, this was really incredible. That was a lot of very powerful information. Anything
Yeah.
you want to add?
Okay,
Mhm.
so yeah, we did touch upon this topic, but I do want to add that surround yourself with positive influences. It's so important to surround yourself with people that promote health and wellness as opposed to the latest fad diets, weight loss. What comes up on your social media feed? Is it all about the latest diet or is it about health and wellness? What books are you reading? And it's so important to surround yourself with positive influences, with people that support you, that encourage you to follow a healthy diet, a healthy lifestyle, as opposed to diet and weight loss. So yeah, that's that's one thing that I wanted to add.
That's incredible because in an emotion, in a moment of emotion, right? We always say, "What are you going to do with that emotion?" Right? So here we're talking about not going for the comfort food, but what? Yeah, right. So surround yourself with people, surround yourself with information that is wholesome. Surround yourself with others who are working on mindset. Those doing mindset work will be able to help you. Surround yourself with those who are on the same journey, who believe in growing, who believe in working on getting truer to yourself and growing your intuition. I love that. One of the best ways to support ourselves when we're in an emotional moment is to reach for support or just read something that gives you that inspiration for the moment. Wow, this was really, truly incredible. I honestly wish that we had more time, but my time is up for tonight. Um, Rikki at Live Well Studios. The information was powerful, packed, really, really, this was so productive. I appreciate everything you shared. And I do hope that I will figure out how to save this media in a way that we can see both of us on the screen and others can listen to it afterwards. Those of you that have listened to it and still have questions, feel free to send me a direct message or send Rikki a direct message, and we'll still try to respond to your questions. Thanks so much for joining us, Rikki. This was truly incredible. And who knows, maybe we'll get enough interest and we'll be able to, get on here and have another conversation. In the meantime, go check out Rikki at Live Well Studios, everyone. And thank you for joining. Enjoy the rest of your night. Thank you so much, Rikki.
Yes, thank you so much, Rahi. This was amazing, so powerful, and thank you all for joining.
Thank you. Good
Yeah,
night.
take care.